Hey guys, it's me, Pokemon. I'm back, and today I wanted to bring you guys a little video where I talk about a tier list for Marvel Strike Force. So I love doing tier lists, but my problem with a lot of tier lists is I feel they are very complicated, very hard to read. And you know, there's a lot of people's tier lists, they have little highlights around characters, and they say like, hey, they could go up if they have synergy, or you maybe build tier lists around teams, and you put specific teams in a tier list together. And I understand why people do that because that's technically smarter. A lot of these games are very team focused. Marvel Strike Force is very team focused. There's a lot of characters that are very dependent on being on certain teams in order to actually excel in this game. So I completely understand why people do that, because you have characters like the Hydra minions that are garbage on their own, but when you put them with Red Skull, suddenly they become very good characters. So that's why a lot of people do that. But with my tier list, I want to streamline it as much as I can, and this is a tier list based on overall utility in the game. Just looking at a character, how good are they to get? You know, how important are these characters to add to your roster? You know, what is the value of these characters as a whole? Assessing everything they do in this game, what they need to succeed, what teams they need, what other characters you need with them, all that kind of stuff. And that's how I built this tier list. So we'll start from the bottom and work our way up. F tier. I just think these characters are garbage. I think they're essentially useless. Like I think they're just bad. Like the Hydra Grenadier pretty much was left out completely when there was the Hydra rework, so he's pretty much useless down there. Ravager is pretty much useless right now. Nebula, really pretty much useless. Once you get to E tier, not necessarily characters that are garbage, but just characters I don't see much use for. You know, I don't think a lot of the hand minions are that great. I don't think Nobu's that great. I don't think Hulk's that great. I don't think all those other characters I have there are that great. I think Aim Infector's still a kind of bad aim minion. I think the Mercenaries, most of them, they're not bad, but they're not that good either, so that's why I put them in the E tier. Now when you get to D tier, you're gonna see a lot of minions, and I know minions can be very good. I know Shield, when you put them with Nick Fury, suddenly the Shield minions become very good. But if you were to take any shield minion on their own, single them out, what is the value of this one minion on a team in a 1v1 or something like that? Or just what is the overall value of that minion on the team? Most of the value on that team is coming from Nick Fury as the leader supporting the minions. You know, the minions are sort of piggybacking off of Nick Fury. That's why I have a lot of minions down here. I know Kree, also very good when you put them with Ronin, but the problem is the Kree as an individual are not strong, so that's why I put them down the D tier. Pretty much all these minions, when you put them with the right characters, are A tier. Their teams are A tier. But the minions as individuals, their value is not high to me, so that's why I'm putting them down in the D tier. I just want to get that out of the way. I know people are going to be like, well, minions, when you put them with the right team, they're incredible. They're like A tier. I know, but the minions are not they're not the most important part of that team. The most important part of that team is the leader that's giving them all that synergy. So that's why I'm putting a lot of them down here. You also see some characters that I just don't think are that good. American Chop is very good, but you need a very specific team. Mystique, I don't think she's that great. The Sinister Six, I don't think they're that great. Deadpool Cable, they're sort of mediocre. Koye, Strife, Ant-Man Wasp, just a lot of characters I think are eh. I just don't think they're that great. That's why I put them in the D tier. I think they're less. I think they could use buffs as characters. Now from D down, I think those characters need buffs or just a little bit of a change, or they rely heavily on synergy to be in a team, so they don't necessarily need buffs, but they're just not that great in their own, so that's more minions. But C tier, I think all these characters are just fine. I don't think they need a lot of buffs. I don't think they need, you know, I don't think we need things that are better than them. I just think they're just the baseline for characters and what they should be. Defenders, I think, are an excellent baseline. I think they are what we should consider the average good team in this game. You know, if you're doing better than that, I think that then the team's a much better team than the defenders, and I think they should be a B, A, S tier. If the team's losing to the defenders, then they should be in a D, E, F tier. I think defenders is sort of a good baseline team, and there's a lot of characters here that depend on being on another team to be really incredible, but are still fine on their own. You know, Wolverine, the Fantastic Four, most of the power armor, a lot of characters like that I think are good on their own. You know, they don't struggle that much if you don't put them on the team. I think they can still be helpful in a lot of other scenarios, and I still think as an individual they're fine characters. There's also a couple minions on here, Hand Sentry, Merc Lieutenant. I think they sort of stand out from the rest of the minions as characters that are actually like very good and have a lot of utility outside of their own teams. You also see some of the Asgardians. I consider Thor and Heimdall sort of more of the mediocre side of the Asgardians. I think they do vote well with the other Asgardians. I think the Asgardians is an incredible team, but I think characters like Thor and Heimdall just on their own. So that's why all these characters are C tier. I think they're fine. I think they're baseline, and I think there are characters that are better than them, and I think there are characters that are worse than them. Then we have the B tier. These are characters I think are better than average, that I think are very useful. Characters like Gamora, Groot, I find a lot of use out of. I think they're very good. All the Black Order characters that have just come out, I think they're very good characters on their own. I think now, of course, you put them with Thanos. That's an S tier team, but as individuals and their total value, I think their B characters are just better than average. There's a lot of other characters here that I think do a lot of nice things. Venom, the fact they can spread debuffs, I think he's a very good character. Falcon and Vision do a lot of great stuff in a lot of scenarios. Kingpin does a lot for villain teams. I like him here. Black Panther and Killmonger I consider better than average characters. I think they have a lot of DPS. Doctor Strange, Mordo, Loki, Quake, a lot of utility there with debuffs and the sort. So I just think there's a lot of good characters in the B tier. You know, these aren't incredible, like mind-blowing characters, but I think these characters are better than average, and I think they bring a lot to teams. Then we have the A tier. These are where I'm putting a lot of those leaders that I was talking about. For example, Red Skull, Ronan, Nick Fury, Magneto, Star-Lord. These are just great characters that do a lot of incredible stuff for their teams. They're sort of the keystone to the team. You know, the team depends on having these characters in order to work. So that's why I put them there. They're just very good characters. They're still pretty good even when you're not putting them with the team they were designed to work with. I just think overall, very good characters. And there's some other characters here that I don't think are necessarily leaders. For example, Graviton, Hello, Rocket Raccoon, Colossus. You know, they're not necessarily leaders of their team, but I think they're pretty critical parts of the team, and I think they're just very strong characters in their own right. So that's why I put these characters here. I think the A tier is just full of a lot of very strong characters. Then especially a lot of characters that lead their own teams. And finally, we have S tier. Now, what separates S tier from A tier is, you know, you have a lot of people like Black Bolt, Shuri, who you can consider the leaders of their teams. And the reason why I put them higher than some of the A tier leaders is I think these characters can do a lot more when they're not with their specific teams. While I think Nick Fury, Star-Lord can help out teams that are not there specifically designed for teams like the Guardians or S.H.I.E.L.D., I think people like Shuri can do a lot of great stuff on a lot of different teams. And then you have characters like Phoenix, Mr. Sinister, Yo-Yo, Captain Marvel, Ultron that I just think are incredible characters and just do a ton for the team wherever you put them. They're sort of plug-and-play characters. You can put them onto any team, and I think they're going to do a ton of awesome stuff, and that's why I put them in the S tier. I just think they are such good characters. I think they are valuable in any team. So that's sort of my thinking of the S tier. I just think they're all very strong characters, do a lot for teams. But I hope this tier list can give you guys an idea of where I think everyone stands in this game. Again, C tier, sort of the baseline. I don't think we really need any changes with them. BAS, I think they are characters that are better than average. And then S tier, I think, are characters that are incredible and do a lot of stuff in pretty much every team. And then D, E, and F characters, I think, could use improvements, especially characters in the F or E tier. And then a lot of characters in the D tier, I just think rely heavily on synergy to be useful. But let me know what you guys think about this tier list down below. I'd be more than happy to discuss it with you guys because I'm always looking to improve this. This is something I want to get back into doing every time there's a new patch. So I'll be back next month with the next patch talking about all the new characters in here. So I'm always happy to make some improvements. I'd like to think I have characters pretty much in the right general area. Like I'd like to think I have characters organized that are better than average and worse than average, you know, in the right section. I don't think there's anyone I've said that's better than average that is actually in reality worse than average. You know, I don't think anyone would disagree that far with anything I've said, but I'm sure you can make some arguments to move characters up or down one tier, and I'd love to hear you guys talk about that down below, and I'll try to respond to all the comments because usually on my videos there aren't a ton of comments anyway, so I'll probably be able to do that. But again, let me know what you guys think about this tier list down below. I'd love to sort of talk with you guys about this, and I just enjoy tier lists as a whole, and I hope this can help you guys when you're building teams or just generally looking at the game, to give you guys a quick look at who are the best characters and who are the worst characters, and then you could sort of look at some other people's tier lists for a much more in-depth look at these characters. But with that being said, what do I know? I am only an 18-year-old. Have a nice day, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.